Developments this week in the Russia probe as Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe faced 2 days of questioning on Capitol Hill, and according to House intelligence sources, his closed-door testimony before that committee on Tuesday raised more questions than it answered. Congressional investigators say McCabe's 7-hour testimony conflicted with statements from previous witnesses, prompting Republicans to mull new subpoenas for FBI and Justice Department staff. We're back with Dan Henninger, Kim Strassel, and Bill McGurn. So, Kim, what is the big takeaway here from the McCabe testimony? What should we know about it?
The biggest one is what Republicans did or did not learn about this infamous dossier and the FBI and DOJ's use of that in their decision to launch a counterintelligence probe into President Trump.
This is a Steele dossier,
McCabe,
the so-called Steele dossier.
The Steele. Yes, that was commissioned by the Democratic National Committee and the Hillary Clinton campaign. McCabe was asked about what they did, and he was at great pains to stress all the efforts that the FBI and DOJ went to corroborate some of the allegations in it. But what's interesting here is apparently, in the end, he had to admit that the only thing that they could find in it that was true was that a Trump satellite operator, Carter Page, once traveled to Russia. Nothing else. So I think that raises more questions because if they couldn't find anything true in it, were they nonetheless still using it as part of a probe or as a justification for getting wiretaps on Trump campaign officials? And
Carter Page has admitted he took a trip to Moscow.
Right. If this is the only thing they had, then the question is, what did they use, if they used it at all, in the application for a FISA warrant? I think Congress...
Which is extraordinary. Just step back for a second. They basically asked a court, if it's true, based on a dossier commissioned by the opposition campaign, to have the FBI able to spy on a presidential campaign.
Almost a year and a half later, the assistant FBI director can verify only one fact, the travel fact about Clarence Page. It's really outrageous. The House, other committees are becoming involved, oversight, judiciary, and they need to see the FBI files. There's a file in this case. They need to see those files. The other larger question is, the more the investigation goes on, the more the questions are about the investigators. It doesn't mean that Bob Mueller's dishonest. But when he first assembled this team, remember we were told these are strict professionals. These are people very professional. They're entitled to their opinions. And we have an FBI agent who's supposed to be a counterintelligence guy squawking to his mistress, you know, about Trump and opening himself up to all sorts of vulnerability to blackmail with an affair. We've got Andrew Weissman, who, you know, applauded an Obama holdover for defying a presidential order. We got Bruce Orr, his wife is working for the people that produced the document. I mean, do you get the word professional when you read those actions? And it's, I think they're largely discrediting themselves.
But none of this, of course, relates to the central question, Dan, of collusion. And yeah, Senator Mark Warner, who is the ranking Democrat on Senate Intelligence, said this week that he thinks actually there's more fire than smoke, and he's not releasing any details, but he thinks this is the biggest thing he's ever going to do in his professional career. And he warned the president, if you fire Mueller, this is a constitutional crisis.
Yeah, well, coming up with sayings here, there's a little boy who cried wolf over and over again when there was no wolf, and no one would believe him. I mean, after listening to Bill go through all of these issues, roll back to why we are here. Way back in January, the story of collusion emerged, and every media outlet in Washington, the allegation, every media outlet in Washington was running stories based on anonymous intelligence sources that there was collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russians. Then we get a special prosecutor. We roll all the way up here to December. One of the top officials of the FBI, McCabe, goes and appears before Congress, and the best he can give them is that Carter Page visited somebody in Russia. So both the members of Congress and these committees and the American people are at the point of asking, what is going on here with this investigation? Why haven't we reached a closure or a more...
Further to Dan's point, go back at the beginning. Devin Nunes was ridiculed.
He is the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee.
Was ridiculed on a crazy man for what he was doing. They trumped up some charges against him in the Ethics Committee, which were dismissed. But designed to handicap the investigation. Look, I think the House and Senate are getting close to answers. And if you watch the hearings now, and you watch, for example, Christopher Wray deal with Congress.
The FBI director now.
FBI director, and so Rod Rosenstein. Congress wants the documents. They have a right to the documents. It's extraordinary that we have federal agencies telling the elected representatives of the American people that they can't see the documents they need to do their job to override. I think there's more subpoenas coming, and I think there's going to be some contempt findings if they don't turn this around.
Do you think, briefly, Bill, that the Democrats want Trump to fire Mueller?
Oh, absolutely. Why would Donald Trump fire Mueller now when his team has all become the subject of discussion? I mean, I think he has the constitutional authority to do it, but I don't think
it would be
wise, unprudent to do it at this point. And now we need more questions about the investigators.
All right, still ahead.